Okay.
Everybody okay with Mary Hannah recording?
Yes.
Anybody against?
Yeah.
Craig? Is anybody against if she puts it on YouTube?
No.
Okay. Okay. Don't spend all your time doing that. That hurts your studying.
Oh yeah, no, I figured out how to do it this time, so.
Okay. Don't want you to waste time on it. It's more important for you to do better than, and you don't need to sacrifice yourself for the rest of the class. Okay?
We're not worth it, okay?
It's all right.
Okay, so we've got to finish up fungus first. And remember that with fungus, you have those cutaneous type diseases, which are mostly caused by trichophytins, right? Trichophytins cause jock itch, ringworm, which is Tinea capitis, yellow fingernails, athlete's foot, right? All caused by trichophytins. And they're all called tinea something. And then the systemic ones are usually due to inhaling the spores. So just remember, due to inhaling spores, right? They usually only affect people who are immunocompromised, but these few that I'm going to talk about here actually can infect healthy people, like coccidioidomycosis, right? That's San Joaquin Valley. That's the one that you get from driving through California in a convertible and breathing the dust. Okay? Just remember. So this is the one that's flu-like. You get it. So pneumonia. If you go to the emergency room, they don't usually check for fungal type pneumonias. They usually give you antibiotics and check for, think it's bacterial or viral. So if you've been driving around California, you want them to check for fungal as well, right? Because you could have that.
So if you're driving around California, you don't want to have the top down and you don't
Probably a
have
good
it
idea, yeah.
where it comes from the outside on your AC. Take the coast road.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the same as like on the study sheet.
Yeah.
It's a diff, going by, okay.
What's it called on the study sheet?
It just doesn't have the mycosis on the end of it.
Mycosis just means a fungal
Yeah,
infection.
that's what I was thinking. 'Cause it has valley fever next to it. but not-
Coccidioides. That's the actual name of the bug.
Okay.
Coccidioides immitis. The last page. Basic mycology. Okay.
This one is somewhere separate.
Yeah, I'll keep that.
Sorry, no.
It's okay. Okay, histoplasmosis. If you had a patient that came to the emergency room and they had flu-like symptoms, and pneumonia type thing, cough, and you found out they had a lot of birds, then you would check for this, histoplasma. Okay? This is the one that's associated with bird and bat droppings. Okay? And blastomycosis, this can live in the soil. Okay? The spores are in the soil. Let's see if I've got anything. And this can disseminate from the lungs to, this is the one that can go to the eye. This is blastomycosis. Is there anything characteristic about blastomycosis? You treat pretty much all of them with amphotericin. Yeah,
Isn't the histoplasmosis also called like parrot fever or something?
it might be. I don't know. But it's histoplasmosis is all I know is that it's the one with bird droppings. The people who own birds, that's the one that they're at risk for. You treat all of these fungal infections with amphotericin B, and the reason is because fungus is a eukaryote, right? The difference between animal cells and fungus is they have a cell wall. The fungal cells have a cell wall, and the fungal cell wall, I'm actually telling you review things at the same time. The fungal cell wall has what in it? What's it made up of? Chitin, right. What's a bacterial cell wall made up of? Peptidoglycan, right. So chitin is something that we could target, for treatment, but actually what they target is the cell membranes contain ergosterol, whereas our membranes contain cholesterol. So the drugs amphotericin B acts on the formation of ergosterol.
It's a hormone?
No, it's a sterol. It's what is sterols? How do I explain
They're
sterols?
fats.
No,
According
they're
to my
actually not.
nutrition teacher.
Well, they're partially fats, okay? They're actually part of the membrane, the cell membrane, okay? So they would be the lipids in the membrane. One of them, they're not all the same. But ergosterol is still close to cholesterol, so if you take a lot of the amphotericin B, you can still get side effects. So, long term. Okay, now we're going to talk about the systemic, and I don't know why this is switched around, because these are, where's the one of the baby? There. This should be first, okay? This is the, we're going to talk about opportunistic mycosis. So for some unknown reason, this should come right after the blastomycosis, okay? These are ones that people get if normal people don't have any problem. They're part of the normal flora, they're floating around, we can resist them. People who are sick or immunocompromised, they're the type of people that get these. And the most common is Candida albicans. Candida albicans causes yeast infection. And you get yeast infection, Candida albicans is part of your normal flora. In fact, probably a lot of you, when you did your environmental swabs, grew Candida albicans. It looks very like staph when you grow it on a plate. It's actually yeast, and it grows. What happens is when you take antibiotics, you kill off the normal flora and yeast goes crazy. People who are diabetic, if you raise the pH in your urine, yeast is happy then too. A lot of sugar, that encourages the growth of yeast. So people who are diabetic are much more susceptible to yeast infections. It tends to grow in moist areas, so obese people get a lot more yeast infections too, and they tend to be more likely to be diabetic. It's the most common cause of diaper rash. Everybody remember that? Diaper rash, Candida albicans. Okay? And I'm sure many of you know that when you take antibiotics, you often get yeast infections, and it sucks big time. So then you have to go and get some amphotericin B. You can get it in your mouth. It's called thrush. Gross. People who are immunocompromised can get terrible yeast infections. They can actually get yeast septicemia, where yeast is growing out everywhere, from their blood, everything. Yeah, it's really nasty. When you grow it in the lab, it actually smells quite a lot like bread yeast. Bread yeast is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It actually smells quite a bit like that. Okay, so we'll do that one after this since everything's got mixed around. Okay, so this is what, I forgot to write it. This is what people with AIDS catch. It used to be called Pneumocystis carinii, and I'm not sure how you pronounce this, to be honest. There we go. This organism is widespread in the environment, and healthy people, so we inhale spores all the time and nothing happens to us. They couldn't understand. They had so many when AIDS first started appearing. They had so many patients with pneumocystis pneumonia, and they couldn't understand this because normal healthy people don't get this. And actually, it often kills AIDS patients. So it's a very serious disease for patients with AIDS. As I said, you know, we breathe in the spores all the time and we're fine. Untreated, it kills AIDS patients, and this is often how they die from pneumocystis pneumonia. It's treated with Bactrim, which is unusual because it's not actually a bacteria, it's a fungus. Okay. Aspergillus. Everybody knows Aspergillus. See Aspergillus on bread, right? That's that black mould, grows on bread. Aspergillus spores are everywhere. Found in compost heaps, air vents, pillows. So most, you know, when people have allergies, they're often allergic to this. It can colonize skin abrasions, burns, parasite, nasal sinuses, or inhaled into the lungs. Normally it doesn't cause a problem, but if you do inhale it, if you have previous injury to your lungs, like, you know, cavities and things like that, it can lodge in the cavities and form these like fungal balls that actually don't disseminate, they just stay there, but they just form this sac, kind of like a tumour. So this has to be removed surgically if you have this. It can disseminate, but it doesn't usually, through the bloodstream to the brain. This happens in immunocompromised people, where it can cause encephalitis, so it can be very serious. Fungal infections are very hard to treat if they become systemic. So it'd be nasty to have a fungal ball like that in you. And then this is commonly referred to as swimmer's ear, Aspergillus niger. It causes pediatric otomycosis, you know, fungal infection of your ear. You get shedding of like scaly stuff coming out your ear, and really itchy. So people who are in the water a lot are susceptible to this. As I said, this is commonly found on textiles, grains, fruits, vegetables, and it's actually often found in the passages of the outer ear and doesn't cause any problems. But people who are in the water a lot, where their ears never dry out, this is what you find on bread, right? If you leave your bread out too long, you know, you get that green stuff, that's penicillin mold, and then you get this as well, the black furry mold. So you can treat this with antifungal creams.
Quick random question. Say if like the back of the bread has the mold on it, what about the front of the bread? Is there a good chance the whole entire stuff's infected?
You can usually see it.
Yeah, I definitely see the mold.
What, are you planning on cutting it off and eating the good
No, my
stuff?
dad did this morning. I threw it away and he pulled it out the trash.
But most people, even if you eat it, are going to be fine, because
Really?
only if you're immunocompromised are you going to. I mean, we normally have that in our lungs. You know, we can get rid of it. Normal people. I mean, you can't avoid spores. They're going to be everywhere.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I just rather not take a chance.
But yeah. What's that?
It just doesn't taste good.
No.
And also, it was in a trash can. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Plug it out of there.
Well, I guess he's going to be resistant to a lot of stuff. Good for
Really
him.
wanted that bread.
Yeah. You know, with children, they used to, you know, think it was important to keep them clean from everything. When we talk about immunology, you're going to know about this. Now they've found that you want to let them eat dirt and all of that stuff, because you want them to build their immunity to everything. Because if you don't, they won't become immune to all these things. You want to expose them to everything that you can. So it's actually good for them to eat dirt and, you know, play around on the floor and all of that, as long as they don't get sick. But that's how they become resistant to things. You know, it's much easier for kids, usually when they get diseases. It's much less tough on them than on adults, because our immune systems are developed. Okay, so after I told you, I gave you pretty much all the hints to this question. A 24-year-old man from Florida developed difficulty breathing and bilateral lobe infiltrates, that's in his lungs, 2 months after driving through California. During initial evaluation, typical pneumonia was suspected. He was treated with antibiotics. In October, a laryngeal mass was detected. Laryngeal cancer was suspected. Treatment with steroids and bronchodilators did not result in improvement. Lung biopsy and laryngoscopy detected diffuse granular tissue. He was treated with amphotericin B and discharged 5 days later. So he could have been made better in 5 days if they'd given him the right diagnosis. What was the disease? What was the disease?
Valley fever.
Yep, coccidioidomycosis. That one. Yeah. What might have been done differently to decrease the patient's recovery time from 3 months to 1 week? Check for fungus in the first place, right?
Yeah, they had to cut them open.
No, but they could have looked for well, they could have treated him for fungus because he was driving around California.
What does California have to do with it?
Because of the
The
chicken.
spores are there.
Oh.
San Joaquin Valley fever, right?
She said that like don't mess
And
with
like the, but it's in the air, right?
Yeah, the spores are in the air.
So would it be like the same if you were like, what's the place, Dothan, Georgia, they have a bunch of chickens there too, I mean,
I think it's probably the dryness in California.
okay.
Yeah. No bacterial pathogen can be isolated from the sputum of a patient with pneumonia. Antibiotic therapy has not been successful. The next step should be, yeah. They don't normally look for fungus. They normally look for, treat for bacterial pneumonia or fungal pneumonia. They don't really usually think about fungus. You have to tell them, background that will make them think about that. For example, if you had birds, then they would think about that. Okay, so we finished all the slides. Now the trick to putting this up you think it's going to stay up?
Put it under the chair. That's why it's got that extra hook.
Where?
Put it on the chair. That hook at the bottom.
Up the chair? Craig to the rescue.
Yeah, create.
Look at that.
Yay!
Engineering.
Okay, everybody's excited about going over everything now, right? Get out my trusty felt pen.
Is it gonna help as much as the last exam?
What's that?
Is it gonna help as much as the
No,
last
it's not going to help you at all.
cool, because the last exam everything.
What?
Are you kidding me?
It didn't help me at all.
It helped you?
Yeah.
It didn't help you at all. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Okay, I got to remember to take the plates out of the incubator. Everybody remind me at the end of the class to take the plates out of the incubator.
Don't forget.
Not even ever pushing it online.
Whenever I tell my husband that, I said, remind me to do something, so he reminds me right then. I was like, that doesn't help at all. Okay.
Fix off reminding you later.
I spent all day Sunday.
Okay, stages of a disease. What are the stages of a disease? Starts with the incubation, right?
Okay, so what was this, the stages?
Yeah, stages of disease. Incubation, prodromal, convalescent, and then you can be chronic after that, right? I'll trip over this probably. incubation, convalescent. Oh, sorry, forgot invasion.
That doesn't,
The P word goes in there first.
What's that?
The P word goes in between there.
Incubation, convalescent. What do you mean the P word?
prodromal.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Thank you. Invasion, convalescent.
Wait, shouldn't invasion be first?
No,
No, incubation.
that's when you die. If you're going to.
Invasion and then
Am I spelling it right?
what does it mean?
Convalescent? I'm going to tell you.
Yes, you are spelling.
Okay, and then some people can become chronic after this stage, right? Most people get better. Okay, so the incubation period is before the time between infection and the very first symptoms, right? So you can be infectious at the incubation stage. The prodromal stage is when you have vague generalized symptoms. So this is before you get the actual symptoms of the disease. You may have some symptoms, but you won't have the full-blown disease, right?
General symptoms?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really irritating. Okay, the invasion is when you have the full-blown disease, all the characteristic symptoms, and this is the stage where you die.
Invasion's where you die?
Yeah. If you succumb to the disease, invasion's where you're going to die. Convalescent is when you no longer have symptoms, but you can still be producing virus or bacteria, okay? So, you know, if you were, you can be a carrier at this stage, you can be a carrier at this stage, well, actually all these stages. When you're better, totally better, and it's cleared from you're a healthy person. How much longer do we have to put up with that?
I don't know, the windows are closed.
Oh, it's coming from outside?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's not me.
I thought it was you. I thought it was somebody's phone. I was like, God, they really want to talk to them. Okay, the chronic stage, some people become chronic. That's where they're actually healthy, but they're still producing virus or bacteria. What are some examples of?
Healthy but still contagious.
Yeah,
So like chronic bronchitis?
yeah, yeah. Remember Typhoid Mary? She was a chronic case, wasn't she? She was producing, because she had typhoid growing in her, Salmonella typhi growing in her gallbladder. And she refused to have it taken out. Because she refused to believe that she was infecting all those people, even though she was basically killing off people, and she kept sneakily going and working in restaurants.
That's nice.
Yes, that was
Then
Typhoid
what is
Mary.
convalescent? Because I thought that one was you don't have symptoms, but you still produce the bacteria.
Right, this is when you're recovering. Okay, here you've recovered. Okay? So you're at the recovery stage, so you don't have any symptoms anymore, but you're recovering. This is when you haven't succumbed to the disease. Okay. Okay, we're done. Wouldn't that be nice? I'm tired. Symptoms. Symptoms. Oh, yeah. Symptoms, signs and symptoms. Everybody, the easy way to remember signs and symptoms, animals only have signs. So if an animal has it, it's a sign. Because animals can't tell you what's wrong with them. So symptoms, you know, the patient has to tell you what's wrong with them. So if the patient tells you how you feel, then it's a symptom, right? So know the difference between them. Okay, congenital diseases. There are two viruses that cause similar congenital diseases. One is CMV, cytomegalovirus, right? What type of virus is cytomegalovirus?
Herpes.
Yes, herpes, right? Or what is characteristic? That's true of all herpes viruses. Yes, they all become latent. What does latency mean?
Like always there?
Yeah, they.
Always be there.
Yeah. So
You can come back at any time.
that's right. If you have any sort of stress or stress to your immune system, then they come back. So it's basically your immune system that's keeping them in check. So once you get them, you have them for life. So cytomegalovirus is like HHV5, I think. So HHV1 is herpes simplex 1, which cold sores. It used to only be cold sores. Now it causes genital herpes as well. HHV2 traditionally used to be everything below the waist, and HHV1 was everything above the waist. Now they can be either one. If you have HHV1, if you've had HHV1 above the waist, then you can't get it genitally, and vice versa. So you're actually immune to but you're not immune to HHV2. You get that?
He said
If
that
you
one.
had herpes up here, you can't get the same herpes down there. But
Right.
you can still get the second one
Yeah.
down
And if you have the second one down there, you can't get the second one up here.
Really?
Yep.
I don't believe it.
Don't try it.
Well, you can try. You can try. No.
For science.
So whichever one you can't get the opposite of?
No. You can't get the same one
Can't get the same.
in a different place. Because you already got it up there. So if you got it above the waist, if you got HHV1 above the waist, you can't get it below the waist, in other words. That's what it says, anyway. Okay.
You and your weed whacker over here.
That was clearly a weak lower.
Maybe my phone's better.
HHV4, what's that one?
That's the one we just said, right?
No, HHV5 is
HS.
That's HPV.
no, HHV4 is Epstein-Barr virus.
Wait, what?
Epstein-Barr.
Epstein-Barr virus.
It's cold sores.
No, what's Epstein-Barr virus cause?
Mono.
Mono! Epstein-Barr virus, mono.
The disease that you get from your girlfriend or boyfriend.
Kissing disease.
Or the water.
Is that a sexually transmitted disease?
No.
No. Even though it's kissing disease, you can't pass it sexually.
No, but you can get it through the water company.
Well, you can.
Yeah, that's how I got it.
Pretty much everybody gets Epstein-Barr virus, and most don't get any symptoms. But some people get sick as hell.
I've drank after people that have mononucleosis.
And you didn't get it. But you probably did get it, you just didn't know it.
Never had any
Because most
symptoms.
people don't have any symptoms. That's,
Hang on, they actually tested me several times for mono.
and you didn't have it.
But this is later in the years, but.
Yeah, no, you would still have antibodies.
I was about to say, it's supposed to always
Yeah,
be-
no, you would have antibodies for life. Yeah, Abigail.
Never mind.
Okay, cytomegalovirus. Oh, is anything?
One quick question.
Yep.
Cytomegalovirus, that was.
I'm going to tell you about that right now. Okay.
Are you
Cytomegalovirus. Okay, because I'm HHV5 now. Cytomegalovirus, it's the one that unfortunately is, if it's passed on to the baby, if you get it, when you're pregnant. Cytomegalovirus, it's HHV5, so it's a herpes virus, and unfortunately pretty much everybody has had it.
Oh my god.
No, that's HV4.
Epstein-Barr is for.
HHV5 is CMV.
Yeah. Okay.
They're backwards on the
I know, yeah, they're backwards on the slides. But you don't have to, I'm not going to ask you HHV1, HHV2. I'm going to use like herpes simplex is cold sores, Epstein-Barr virus, mono. I'm going to ask you the
What's
important
HHV3?
things. HHV3,
Varicella.
shingles. Sorry, didn't talk about that one. I will talk about that one right now.
Shingles.
And what is the, I was just about to ask you. Yeah, what is the childhood version of shingles? Chickenpox, right. So when it's in kids, it's called varicella. In adults, as shingles, it's called zoster. Remember, can kids who haven't had chickenpox catch chickenpox from people who've had shingles? Yes. No. Yeah. You cannot catch shingles from anybody, but you can catch chickenpox if you haven't had it from people who've got shingles.
Are they both HHV3?
Yes, they're exactly the same virus. What's that?
Different.
Structurally, are they different, or is it?
No,
Okay.
same virus.
Do we need to know which one, like the varicella, is for children?
No, you probably need to know it's varicella zoster, or it's chickenpox. You need to know one's chickenpox, shingles, and how you can catch them. How do you catch these?
They're respiratory.
Yeah, so how it would be droplets, right?
You spit
Or
or
if you directly contact the fluid that comes from the.
Well, that's the really complicated way of saying it.
I mean the ooze from the.
Oh yeah, definitely,
medical
definitely.
personnel, they haven't touched it.
Yeah, definitely.
And HHV6 is
We're not going to worry about HHV6. If you want me to go and find that out, I can tell you, and you can have more work to study.
I thought this was.
It's not on our list.
Yeah, quit worrying about it.
Oh, that's HPV.
Okay, cytomegalovirus. Can I talk about that now?
Yes.
Okay, cytomegalovirus. This is the one that people really know they have. I'm not saying really, I'm saying rarely. In fact, most people don't get any symptoms whatsoever. Okay, so but it's really bad for babies, and the babies are born with a small head. They can have seizures. They can be deaf, jaundice, so yellow, enlarged spleen and liver. Okay, I don't want you to get this confused because there's another virus that if you catch that when you're pregnant, baby can have similar symptoms, but not quite the same. Not the enlarged spleen and liver. And which virus is that?
Enlarged spleen?
No, the baby is born deaf. No. Rubella. German measles, right? Yeah. So baby can, it's bad for pregnant mothers, right? CMV, rubella, and what's the other one that's bad for pregnant mothers? It's not a virus.
Toxoplasma?
Yes, toxoplasmosis. That's the one that, that's cats, right? Cats eating the unafraid mice. Okay. I think I've got CMV down finally. Salmonella. What do you catch salmonella from?
Chicken.
Undercooked chicken.
Yep. What's the other thing you can get it from? Yep.
Lettuce.
I'm not sure about lettuce.
Well, isn't it
Pets and reptiles. Reptiles.
I thought it was a
Turtles.
second form of E. coli. Pretty much, because you can get E. coli and salmonella off the same thing.
Yeah, you could.
Just do this stuff that's on study guidelines.
Yeah. The mode of transmission for salmonella would be fecal oral, right? And it's just remember poultry, so anything to do with poultry and anything to do with reptiles, turtles and things like that. So those type of pets, though, if a patient came into the emergency room and you were the doctor or nurse or whatever, and they had terrible diarrhea and stuff, and you heard they had reptiles, salmonella, right?
Reptiles and pigs.
I didn't say pigs.
I thought that's what you said first.
Pets.
Chicken, egg,
Yeah. Would you need, if you had salmonellosis, which is caused by Salmonella enteritica, we're not talking about Salmonella typhi here, so we're not talking about typhoid fever. Would you need antibiotics? Do you always need antibiotics? No. You've just got to, yeah, just fluids. Just got to maintain fluids and things like that.
For Salmonella enteritis.
Yeah.
Fluids on.
It's commonly known as salmonellosis. There was two types of salmonella we talked about. Salmonella enterica or enteritidis. It's a big family, but they all call salmonellosis. And then Salmonella typhi, that's the bad one, right? Yeah. That's the one that can tell you. Okay, Clostridia.
I don't know how to spell that. Botulism. Oh, that's the botulism?
They're the gram-positive bacilli.
That's the stuff that you get.
There's a
Botox,
couple
right?
of them. There's botulism and tetanus and gangrene.
Yeah, there's a number of types. So Clostridium botulinum, Clostridium tetani, perfringens.
We're only learning about the botulinum, right?
No.
All three.
Are you kidding?
There's actually 4 of them.
Do you have the study guide in front of you?
No, I
Here you
didn't,
go.
I didn't even know that we had one.
Here, you can have mine.
It wasn't Clostridium cereus, Bacillus cereus. Yeah, difficile. We've got to know difficile too.
No, not all.
Charlene is absolutely correct. 4 types. Okay, the thing to remember about Clostridium is they all produce spores. Okay, endospores, right? Gram-positive bacilli are the ones that produce spores. And often it's if they don't produce the spores. So if you have any confusing questions that say something else is producing endospores, you know it's not, because these are the only, Bacillus and Clostridium are the only ones that produce spores, right? Now, Clostridium botulinum, the disease is caused by the toxin, not by the organism, right? In fact, all of these, the main part, with all of Clostridial species, it's actually the toxins that the Clostridial species produce that causes the disease. Okay? So if you can actually get the disease without the organism, from just the toxin itself. This is particularly true for these two. Okay? So, botulinum. Clostridium botulinum. What does the toxin cause? What's that?
Botulism.
Yeah, it causes botulism. It's a neurotoxin, so it acts on the CNS, right? Central nervous system. What type of paralysis does it cause? Don't get these mixed up.
Relaxed, loosed.
Yeah. It causes flaccid paralysis. And it's easy to remember because Botox relaxes your wrinkles, right? Botox, no wrinkles. So it's the opposite of Clostridium tetani, right? Yeah, it causes spastic paralysis. All of these
Can't
are...
you get that from rabies too, if the dog bites you?
No, you get rabies from it.
No, you do get spastic type paralysis with rabies. Yeah, it does cause that type of paralysis. Okay, but don't get them mixed up. Rabies is a virus.
No, I know that, I'm just saying
Yeah.
you get the same kind of
Okay.
thing with that.
Yeah, you do get. In fact, it's even worse. These are obligate anaerobes, so they only grow in anaerobic conditions. Same with this. Difficile is, I think, too. Okay. Clostridium perfringens. What does that cause?
It's,
Gangrene?
Yeah, gas gangrene. Gas gangrene. You get crepitation, you know, bubbly skin, because it's got gas in there. Wound turns green. It's disgusting.
You pop the skin, doesn't it just boil over?
Well, the organism, you know, keeps growing under anaerobic, and it produces all these toxins that actually dissolve. It's kind of like
That's why you cut it.
flesh eating disease. You have to cut back to normal flesh. And the other thing they do with Clostridium perfringens, with gas gangrene, is because it's anaerobic. What's the other way they treat it? Yeah, and what's a good way of forcing oxygen? Yeah, the hyperbaric chamber. Yeah, they put them in the hyperbaric chamber. Okay, this is the one, Clostridium difficile. When do you get this? Broad spectrum antibiotics. You know, people. Yeah,
It's when
C.
you're
diff.
on broad spectrum and antibiotics that
Yeah.
you're susceptible to.
Oh, and you,
You have it normally in your gut, and what happens
It's
is it
C.
kills. What's that? Yeah,
C.
C. diff. This is C. diff. Clostridium difficile is C. diff, right? So broad spectrum antibiotics, you know, kills off all the normal flora of your gut. So Clostridium perfringens, the spores survive that, and they, you know, it's like got no competition, so it goes hog wild. Difficile, right? Yeah, and it can cause pseudomembranous colitis. Do you want me to write that down?
Yes. You're hoping we'd say no.
Of course.
Shouldn't have asked.
doesn't C. diff have a certain smell to it or something?
Probably does, because these all stink. Most of the anaerobes, you know, the anaerobes in your poop are what makes your poop stink really bad. It's the anaerobic bacteria that smell the worst. Colitis. Doesn't have an H in it, does it? My spelling is not very good. Never has been. There we go. And you know, with spell check, my spelling's got worse because it does it for you, doesn't it? You don't even have to try.
Just get close.
Yeah, exactly, and hope for the best. Okay, so these exotoxins that these Clostridium produce, they're different from endotoxin, right? They're different from endotoxin. What is endotoxin?
Is it released in between the cells?
No, endotoxin is lipopolysaccharide. It's part of a gram-negative cell wall. So all gram-negatives have endotoxin, right? Exotoxins are proteins that are secreted, you know, passed out. So any sort of exotoxin can produce the disease by itself. You know, exotoxins, think of them like poisons. They actually are poisons. Botulinum is botulism toxin. Botulinum toxin is the most toxic substance known. It's incredibly toxic. Remember, diphtheria toxin is second, and tetanus toxin is third. Yeah.
What about enterotoxins? Is that going to be on the list?
I'm going to tell you that since we were talking about that. Enterotoxins are toxins, exotoxins, that act on your gut, on your enterics, basically. Yeah. So all the exotoxins are named after where they act. So enterotoxins are toxins that cause gastroenteritis. So for example, E. coli does not cause gastroenteritis unless it has a specific exotoxin. Exotoxin that is an enterotoxin, right? Because enterotoxins cause gastroenteritis. Everybody got that? So,
Enterotoxins cause gastroenteritis.
exactly. Because they act on your enterics, your gut. Okay. Gram-negative bacilli. When I did this, Okay, I colour coded it. So the purple ones are all gram-positives and the red ones are all gram-negatives. Spirochetes I made brown and Mycobacteria are pink. That's meant to be purple. I know it looks kind of reddish. It's meant to be purple. Okay, so gram-negative bacilli. Yeah, we did bacillus. We didn't do bacillus. We should do bacillus while we're here, because it's the other gram-positive bacillus. Bacillus, that's the other species that makes spores, right?
That's like anthrax.
Yep. Bacillus anthracis.
You have Bacillus cereus on there twice.
Sorry. It causes food poisoning. Yeah. That means you have to do double learning. Yeah, I do. This causes anthrax. This is the one that can be used for bioterrorism. You know, the spores. Okay, and Bacillus cereus is the one that Chinese food.
That's from like heating it really quickly.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
in
they don't-
rice. It's
yeah.
in rice.
Yeah, the spores can be found in rice, and if you don't heat it up for long enough, you don't kill the organism. And you know the Chinese food sits, their buffet sits out for ages, so the spores can
Why
germinate.
they get that is because the way that the rice is made, and it's made in like weak water.
Well, the Chinese use night soil to fertilize their vegetables.
Which
You know,
has,
you know what night soil is? Yeah, that's what it is. Human poop.
So if they use rice that's from America, then it's less likely from somewhere else.
Well, do you think rice comes from the rice that we buy in the stores? Most of it, I bet, comes from wherever the cheapest place is.
Do we need to know that part for the exam?
What's that?
Like the rice and stuff?
No, you just need to know that it causes gastroenteritis. Yeah, we're wasting time.
Like I have to go to work.
Yeah,
I gotta work too.
yeah. So stop farting around, you guys. Okay, so we've done gram-positives, right? Those are the ones that form spores. So you need to know the ones that form spores. You got that down? Spores. Okay, so if any other question talks about the spores of something, you know that immediately that answer is wrong, because none of the other microorganisms form spores, right? Except for fungus. Okay, so the other two, the non-spore forming gram-positive bacteria are Cranibacterium diphtheriae and Listeria monocytogenes.
wait, question.
Yeah.
You said only fungus forms spores, but I thought you just said Clostridium.
Those are the only other one.
Our fungus spores are different, okay? We're talking about bacterial spores. I don't know how to explain that.
Well, which one were you just talking about? 'Cause
Bacteria, I'm talking about bacteria right now. I'm
Okay,
not talking about
just
fungus.
now, the last sentence
Yeah.
you said was only fungus.
Yeah,
So that's
but
what-
I don't want you to get, because these things will all be mixed up in the test. There'll be fungus mixed up with virus and all stuff like that. So you have to be able to, sort it out.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I'm trying to help you do. Okay, so Cranibacterium diphtheriae, what does that cause? It's pretty obvious. Diphtheria, yeah. That's the one. The characteristic sign of diphtheria is pseudomembrane. Can block your throat. It's due to necrotic tissue. The bacteria makes a toxin, an exotoxin, that actually kills cells. Actually inhibits protein synthesis. So if you have a whole patient come in, which is unlikely, hopefully, because they got vaccinated, the best way is to prevent diphtheria. And what's the vaccine that's part of that? DTP, right? What does that stand for?
Diphtheria, tetani.
Tetanus and...
I want to say pertussis.
Yeah, it is. It's pertussis. Yeah, whooping cough, or whooping cough as they say in America.
That's an antibiotic.
No, the vaccine. Yep. That's how you prevent those diseases, right? So if a patient came in with a blocked throat, which was all necrotic tissue, and bull neck, and they hadn't had their DTP, diphtheria, right?
What was the P on it?
Pertussis, whooping cough, right? Don't get them mixed up with whooping cough, because whooping cough, you'll get a cough. It may sound a little similar. I actually wrote down about whooping cough here, but I don't think I've confused them in the test. I've tried not to make it confusing. Whooping cough. They're having a resurgence of whooping cough at the moment. Whooping cough is caused by Bordetella pertussis, right, which is a gram-negative bacilli. They're having a resurgence of whooping cough. Does anybody know why that is?
Isn't it moms holding a baby?
Well, that's the ad on TV. It's because
No,
people.
it's like,
Lack of
can't
vaccination.
you like?
Yeah, it's because people people used to get whooping cough. I was one of the ones that got whooping cough. Well, if you get whooping cough, immunity is usually lifelong, but the vaccine, immunity to the vaccine is not usually lifelong, so you need to have boosters. So people aren't getting their boosters, and so they're getting breakthrough, what's called breakthrough Bordetella pertussis. Okay?
And you said that was gram-negative bacilli?
Yes. It's one of the respiratory ones.
Mm-hmm.
The other three respiratory are Haemophilus influenzae, which causes meningitis. What's the way Haemophilus influenzae is treated now?
Antibiotics.
No, but which is
Does this stuff that Coach Malone?
it's prevented now, and everyone's getting.
Oh, prevented. Well, the vaccine.
Yeah, the vaccine is Hib B. That's Haemophilus influenzae. Okay? Hib B. Everybody got that? Because Haemophilus influenzae is a major cause of meningitis. So Hib B prevents meningitis from Haemophilus influenzae.
Oh,
Yes.
arthropod-borne diseases, is that from?
Insects.
Like insects?
Insects. Arthropod means insect.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Yeah, the gram-negative bacilli, that's the one that's terrible for burn patients. What's that? What do burn patients get terrible wounds from? It's green and it has a fruity odour. She's close. Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas aeruginosa.
That's burn sepsis.
Yep.
And UTI?
Yeah, it causes all those things, but it's the worst. It's the most it's the one because it's so, so aerobic and it's resistant to all the antibiotics and it's resistant to disinfectants. So this is what the poor burn patients come to. It's the one that also people with cystic fibrosis, they actually get biofilms of Pseudomonas growing in their lungs. This is really nasty. Okay, yeah, we already talked about this a little bit. You need to know the mode of transmission, which one's a fecal oral and which one's a droplet. Don't get them mixed up. One that a lot of people get mixed up is polio. Everybody thinks polio is droplet. But where does polio grow? Yeah, but you know, the mode of transmission. You can get that in water, right? It's because it grows in your intestine. It grows in your throat and your intestine. Okay? Yeah, it's fecal oral. Exactly. It's not droplet. It's fecal oral. People think it's droplet because you get neurological symptoms from it. But most people don't get any neurological symptoms. It just grows in your gut and that's it. And you don't get anything from that. Strep pyogenes. God, this is a nasty disease. What does strep pyogenes cause? Yep.
Scarlet fever,
Yes.
toxic shock, rheumatic fever,
Yep.
flesh-eating disease, whatever.
Yes. What's that called? Strep pyogenes. Pharyngitis, which is strep throat, right? I think I've got it all listed here. Yeah.
That's where I was reading it from.
Cheat! Scarlet fever. The scarlet fever is only when it's lysogenized by a virus, right? Bacteria. And bacterial viruses are called?
Bacteriophages.
Yes, bacteriophages. And when it's lysogenized, what happens? Latent is in animal viruses. It's become part of the bacterial DNA. Remember? So the virus actually makes the scarlet, the
Does that mean it's lysogenic?
yeah, has to be lysogenized.
Internet
Yeah.
is slow and I need it to be.
You understand lysogenic?
Yeah.
Yep. Everybody understand lysogenic? Okay, what's the animal equivalent to lysogenic? Latent, yeah. And which virus becomes latent? Yeah, they all become latent, but which actually becomes part of your DNA?
HIV.
Yes, HIV. Because HIV is a retrovirus, right? And retroviruses have what enzyme? Yes, reverse transcriptase. Which other enzyme apart from retroviruses have reverse transcriptase? Hepatitis B. Yes, you said it too. I'm giving you credit too. Okay, which are hepadnaviruses. Where am I up to?
Oh no, I lost my thing.
Well, I'm mixing it up because you guys have got it. Which virus? Okay, so if you had a patient come into the lab, a small kid, and they had a heart murmur, and they'd not long before that had sore throat, and they had joint pain, what do you think that would be caused by? Yeah, and what's that caused by? I just wrote it up here. Strep pyogenes. Yes. Does everybody get that? Joint pain, rheumatic fever, heart murmur. That's rheumatic fever too. And had a sore throat before that. From strep. Yep. So that came from strep. So, how is rubella transferred? What's the MOT of rubella? Droplet, yeah. The other ones that are droplet are all the paramyxoviruses, which are measles, mumps, and RSV, right? They're all droplet. They're all paramyxoviruses. And MMR, the vaccine, is measles, mumps, and rubella. Rubella is a different type of virus than measles and mumps, though. Measles and mumps are both paramyxoviruses, as is RSV. What's that? Yeah, exactly. Measles, mumps, and rubella. I'm having a mental block here.
Smallpox is a flu virus.
No, it's not. It has it under there, but it's not. It's smallpox is a pox virus. Yeah, RSV is respiratory syncytial virus. That causes pneumonia and bronchiolitis in little kids. Okay, so if you have a little baby with pneumonia and bronchiolitis, you would look for respiratory syncytial virus in them. In fact, they give antibodies prophylactically to babies, who are at risk for RSV, because it's very serious for them. Most people don't have any problems with RSV whatsoever. Okay, so let's see, what am I up to? Yeah, insect diseases. Oh yeah, which diseases predispose you to cancer? All DNA viruses. Yeah, HPV. Yep, and retroviruses. And there's one RNA virus that predisposes you to cancer. That's hepatitis C, right?
Can't you get jaundice from hep C too?
Oh yeah, hepatitis means jaundice. All hepatitis viruses give you jaundice. Okay. Yeah. Strep pyogenes, okay, just to jump back, I hadn't finished that. Which is the strep that causes dental caries? Yeah. Streptococcus mutans, dental caries, right? In staph, since we're on gram-positive cocci, staph, it causes a ton of things. It's the one that causes boils, yeah.
I was looking on your PowerPoint because I'm making my cards too.
Mm-hmm.
For Lyme disease, the mode of transmission, is that the reservoir or the vector? It would be the vector, right?
Yeah, it's vector. It's an arthropod because it's by the tick.
It's the actual tick that's the mode of transmission.
Yep.
Okay.
The tick bite. Yep. And it's a different type of tick to Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which is the Rickettsia rickettsii. Okay, staph. We were talking about staph. So it causes skin infections, boils, all of that, eye infections, food poisoning. It only causes food poisoning if the staph has the enterotoxin, right? Because it's the enterotoxin by itself. So you can kill off the bacteria and still have the enterotoxin in there and you'll get staph food poisoning. Yeah.
Are we talking about Staphylococcus in general, or are we talking about aureus right now?
Staph aureus.
Okay.
Yeah. The other one that lives on your skin is Staph epidermidis, and it doesn't normally cause disease, okay? So remember, staph, enterotoxin, the food poisoning that you get from staph enterotoxin, what type of food poisoning is it? Happens quickly after it. The enterotoxin is the one that's resistant to heating, and it's the type of one that you're going to get from creamy things like potato salad, creamy cakes and things like that. Okay? So,
That's that type of food poisoning?
yeah. So if a food poison, yeah.
Sorry, so that'd be the one for the Bacillus cereus?
No, Bacillus cereus is the one you get from Chinese food. Staph is the one that happens quick. Okay, so you eat the food and within 5 hours you're throwing up. So the most likely one when you're throwing up not long after you've eaten the food, and the type of food I'm talking about is creamy things, cakes and creamy things and potato salad, that type of food that's been sitting out. Because the staph enterotoxin, what's that?
Buffets.
Yeah, yeah. So Bacillus cereus is from the rice, remember, not from the creamy stuff.
And which one is from the creamy stuff?
Staph aureus. But it's only if the Staph aureus actually produces the enterotoxin. So if it doesn't produce the enterotoxin, it's not going to produce it. Now, does Staph aureus make spores? No. No. It's not a bacillus and it's not Clostridium, so it doesn't make spores. Okay. If you have a patient come in and they've got swollen lymph nodes and they've been around fleas, what do you think they have?
It's like the black
No.
plague.
No, Lyme disease is ticks.
Buboes.
Yeah, she's got it right. Black plague. What's that caused by? What's plague caused by? Yeah. So if it's caused by, if rats are the reservoir, then it's a zoonotic disease, right? But what is the actual bacteria caused? Okay, I'm getting tired of standing up. Yersinia pestis, right? The fleas are what transmit it. So it's an arthropod. So that was what you were asking, Chris. It's an arthropod disease, right? Yersinia pestis? Because the fleas are what transmit it, but it actually comes from the rats. And what are those swollen lymph node things called that you get?
Buboes, right?
Yeah, buboes.
Buboes?
Yeah, B-U-B-O-E. Disease is called plague, and the bacteria are Yersinia pestis. The pestis part is easy to remember because the rats are pests. Well, the fleas are pests too, right? The other ones that are vector arthropod borne, these are viruses. These other ones are viruses that we talked about, except for rickettsia. Rickettsia, and that's not viral. Rickettsia are bacteria, right? There's two types of rickettsia. Rickettsia rickettsii and Rickettsia prowazekii. Rickettsia causes, yay, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and it's passed by, yay, the deer tick. Okay, Rickettsia prowazekii is passed by people lice. The people louse. Okay? So, okay.
I don't see that. Yeah, I don't see that second one you said on here.
Sorry, but it's,
Where's the first one?
Yeah, I didn't see that one either.
Rickettsia, it's not down there.
I don't see it.
No, it wasn't me that, I thought I added everything to that. I'm sorry.
I don't see it.
Rickettsia. Okay, add it to there.
Do you mind spelling it?
Just put it on the board.
Yep.
Wait, what section does that go in?
It goes under viruses.
No, it's a bacteria. It's the ones that are obligate intracellular parasites. They're bacteria, but they can't live on their own.
So, put it under here.
I don't think it's got two Ks. And Rickettsia prowazekii.
You spell it two different ways. It's the same thing twice.
It's different.
That's what it's called. Rickettsia rickettsii.
Don't
Rickettsia prowazeki. This is lice, this is ticks, this causes Rocky Mountain spotted fever, this causes typhus. Do I have to write those up?
Okay, so ticks and what was the second one?
Lice, human lice. That's the one that you don't invade Russia in the winter.
It's called typhoid.
Typhus.
Typhus.
Yeah, not typhoid. Typhoid is Salmonella typhi.
Yes, double I. Just the second Rickettsia is I, not I.
I told you my spelling's bad.
You didn't have spell check.
Like this,
Okay. Okay. Prevalence and incidence.
Okay, prevalence, how many incidents?
Yeah, incidence is the number of new cases. Prevalence is all the cases. Right? Okay, I'll move my chair over here. How's that? Prevalence, yeah. So, if the incidence of a disease isn't changing, you should all know about incidence and prevalence because you did the MMWR. So it was actually a good time to do it. So, if the incidence isn't changing, but the for a disease, over the last 50 years, but the prevalence has increased, what do you think's going on?
Before I forget to
They're not
introduce you.
able to treat it very well.
No, people are living longer with the disease.
So it's latent.
No, what's happening is, like, the prevalence of AIDS would be increasing because people can live with it. But, if the incidence isn't changing, that people, the number of new cases is not changing, same number of people are still getting infected each year. But if we can treat it well, if people are living longer with it, then the prevalence, the total number of cases is going to increase, isn't it?
we could just eliminate AIDS completely, but they don't want to do it.
Alright, we cannot talk about,
Yeah, we can't, because I'm getting sick of doing this. Yeah, let's get finished. Okay, so does everybody understand that? Yeah. Okay, signs and symptoms, signs and symptoms of hepatitis are yellow, right? High bilirubin, elevated liver enzyme, swollen liver, swollen abdomen. Okay, we've done the latent viruses, good. Yep, we've done that one. The stages of syphilis. First of all, what's syphilis caused by?
Sexually transmitted.
Of course it is. Yes. But what's the big? Yes! Very good. The bacteria that causes it is Treponema pallidum. I don't know how many L's. I think that's right. It might be AM.
I don't see it on here.
Oh my God, it is there.
Oh, I see it.
It's a spirochete. It's a spirochete.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right? What is the characteristic first, there's 3 stages to syphilis, right? What's the characteristic first sign? What do you get? You get this painless ulcer. What's it called? Called a chancre, right? You get a painless ulcer. So if you get a painless ulcer, on your genital regions, go see a damn doctor. And get treated for syphilis. Don't be chicken.
Do we need to know all 3 stages?
Yeah, the second stage is when you get rash, and I can't remember the rest of the second stage. Not everybody gets the tertiary stage. The tertiary stage is when you get brain damage. You know, and you can go nutty.
That's after it's become lysogenic?
No, it's just very slow growing and lives in you for it takes a long time to cause an infection. So that would bring up acute and chronic. Chronic diseases are diseases that happen, you have for a long time before you get them, and then they can be with you for a long time. And it's usually due to the fact that the organism has a very long replication time. What's that called? Doubling time. Yeah. Generation time. Yay. So acute diseases are ones that come on quick and you recover quick or die, right? I always like to add the end or die. What's that?
Syphilis is chronic.
Yeah, because it takes a long time. The other spirochete that's very like it, as far as having 3 stages, can go for a long period of time, and also has a very characteristic sign, which doesn't always happen in all people. What's the other spirochete that I talked about? But it's not sexually transmitted. Lyme disease. It's also a spirochete. And what's the organism that causes Lyme disease? It's passed by the tick, but what's the bacteria? Borrelia burgdorferi.
I just put it up there.
Yeah. What's the characteristic sign that you get with that? Bullseye rash. Yes. So if somebody comes into the emergency room with a bullseye rash, you say Lyme disease. It's not acute. No. It has an acute phase, but it's a chronic disease that goes over a long period of time. And you want to treat it. It doesn't always appear acute, but you want to treat it as early as possible. Yes?
Can you get rid of any of these?
Yeah, if you treat them with antibiotics because they're bacterial diseases. Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely get rid of syphilis. You don't have to live with syphilis and become nutty.
If you get antibiotics for syphilis, does your canker go away?
Yeah.
It does?
Yep. You worried about that, Craig?
Yeah, I was just wondering.
What's the disease that patients can get when they get broad spectrum antibiotics? Yes, Clostridium difficile. Okay, can all types of organisms get viruses? Plants, bacteria? Yes. Fungus, even fungus can get its own viruses. Plants get their own viruses. Everything that's alive, living, can get infected with viruses.
Please tell me that's a question on the test. So I get it.
That would be sweet.
I'll have at least one right.
Okay, influenza virus. What type of virus is that?
It's a flu virus.
It's an orthomyxovirus. The problem with influenza virus is it's got 8 segments, right? And so, remember in the pig, the poor pig, the pig is a mixing vessel, and it can be infected by more than one cell can be infected by more than one virus at the same time, and then when the virus is assembled, it gets viral RNA from different places. And when that happens, that's called reassortment. What happens? That's when you get epidemics. And epidemics are due to genetic
mutation. Oh.
There's 2 types. You got the wrong one. Shift. Remember, there's genetic drift and genetic shift. Genetic shift is sudden changes that cause epidemics, right? And that's due to reassortment. And that happens in influenza virus, right? Genetic drift is continual mutation of the DNA due to the fact that the enzyme that copies the DNA or the RNA. It usually happens in RNA viruses. The enzyme that copies it cannot check. It doesn't proofread the RNA as it's copying it, so you get genetic drift. Genetic drift occurs in influenza virus constantly, and that's why you have to have a flu shot every year, right? The reason you have to have a flu shot every year is because of genetic drift. The influenza causes epidemics is genetic shift, and that's due to reassortment. Everybody got that? So the thing, antigenic shift is more likely to cause epidemics, right? Okay. The steps in virus infection. What's the first step? For a virus to infect, what does it have to do?
Find a host.
Yeah, it's true.
Incubation.
Has to stick, has to attach.
Oh, we're wrong.
So the first step,
This is stick.
well, what's the scientific term for sticking?
Adhering.
That's good, adherence, yep. Attachment, okay? Okay, what comes after attachment? I was going to say something, make a
Penetrate.
crude joke about this, but I thought I better not. I thought all the boys would
You're
know
being
about that.
recorded, remember.
Oh.
Okay. After penetration, what happens?
It makes it, right? Replicate.
Yeah. Has to replicate, right? And then, after replication, who said the one that comes next? Somebody said it? Yes. Assembly. Right? And then what happens?
Then it leaves.
Yep. Release. Okay? Do I have to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down there?
When you say discrete, don't they? Likely.
Yeah, there's two ways. They can either bud out. This is only in animal viruses, right? If they're an envelope virus, right, they bud out. Herpes viruses do that. HIV, yep, buds out. And if they bud out, they don't necessarily kill the cell, right? And they get this. Where does the membrane come from? The envelope, yep. It comes from the plasma membrane by budding out. If they're a naked virus, the other name for naked virus is non-enveloped.
It comes through and
It bursts a hole, yep. So naked viruses always kill their host cell, right, when they come out. So, yeah, in animal viruses, there's two ways of release. So you need to know where they get, if they bud out, you need to know where the envelope comes from, right? Comes from their host plasma membrane. Okay. What's the most common cause of diarrhea in 3-year-olds? In babies? That was the one where they get running down the legs, diarrhea.
Just hoping you wouldn't say that.
You have kids, you know all about running down the legs, diarrhea. You know about them throwing up everywhere.
The rotavirus.
Yes! Rotavirus.
Yeah, it's right.
I mean, if kids are throwing up, they don't think about running to the bathroom. They just throw up, right?
Isn't the same thing norovirus?
Norovirus is the one you get from cruise ships. Right, but you can get it from restaurants. It's the one that's extremely infectious, and that's the other name for Norwalk virus is norovirus, right? What's that?
Make me want to live in a bubble.
I know. But then I'm going to talk about immunology, you know, so you'll know that it's just basically impossible for anything to get through our immune system. We are tough.
I have a question about the rotavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Can it only happen in little kids?
Well, usually, see the reason it's common in little kids, is because we've all caught it by the time we get to be adults.
Okay.
So it's extremely uncommon in adults. They have a vaccine for it now to prevent it. Because, it actually can kill some kids. Usually, kids who are preemies and things like that. Yeah.
How long do we have left?
Oh my God, I've got tons.
I gotta go.
It's only 3:30.
Yeah, but my car's on the other side of campus,
Oh.
and I don't wanna hit traffic.
Okay. Oh, this isn't very long. We've already talked. Oh, what causes warts?
HPV.
She's got that down.
Now, where do kids pick it up from? Like, when they have a common, like from the dirt? Or?
No, because you can.
Other people.
If anybody has HPV and they touch something, you can still get it from what they.
Right, and you can auto-inoculate yourself and. I know. So.
So the transmission was direct contact?
What's that? Yeah.
Hold on real quick.
And
You
it
hear
can.
that? He's gone.
Okay, and remember the people who were cauterizing, doctors can get it from cauterizing genital warts, and they can get it in their nose, up their nose, yeah. So I guess it can become volatile. It's the one that causes cervical cancer, penile cancer, cancer of the anus, and cancer of the tongue, who... It's actually, yes. Doesn't bear thinking about, does it? No, the different types of diarrhea. We talked a lot about diarrhea, didn't we? Bacteria that cause diarrhea, and then there's parasites that cause diarrhea. E. coli causes diarrhea. There's two types of diarrhea that only if it has that enterotoxin, and one of the diarrheas that it causes is the one that you can get, the Jack-in-the-Box one, hemolytic uremic syndrome. That's caused by E. coli. We are eating rare hamburgers. That's what happened in the Jack-in-the-Box. Yeah, that's hemolytic uremic syndrome. So if you had a child come in with bloody diarrhea, vomiting, problems with their kidneys, hemolytic uremic syndrome, and you'd think E. coli. Okay, but E. coli can also cause food poisoning. Another enterotoxin that it can have is the one that you get from going to other countries. Montezuma's revenge. Yeah. So that's commonly known as traveller's diarrhea, Montezuma's revenge. Everyone knows what causes the rice water stools, right? What organism?
Cholera.
Yes, Vibrio cholera, right? We've already talked about the herpes viruses. We're done then. Tuberculosis. What causes tuberculosis?
Mycobacterium.
Yeah. Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And it's acid fast, so it's neither gram-positive or gram-negative. It's very hard to stain. Don't get that mixed up with the bacteria that doesn't have a cell wall. Which is the bacteria that doesn't have a... Yeah, and what does it cause?
Walking pneumonia?
Yes. Are you looking that up or you know it?
I know, I have it right in front of me.
Walking pneumonia. God, I've told you right since about the first lecture, I think. Mycoplasma, walking pneumonia. It's the one that all the college students get, that where you have dry cough that goes on forever. That if you went to the doctor and got it treated with erythromycin, you'd be better in a day.
We can't miss this class, so.
But you'd miss, yeah, but you wouldn't be coughing around spreading it over everybody else.
That's not fair.
Okay, you need to know the diagnostic signs of diseases. You know, for example, what's the diagnostic sign of rabies?
The brain spots.
The black spots in the brain, in cells in the brain, what are they called? Where's my pen? Negri bodies. Rabies. Yes. Well, this is after the person's died, because you don't take out their brain before they die. You might, but you know, some people probably need that done. But
They can't see it like on a scan.
You mean like doing a CSF fluid or something like that? No, it's brain. No, you couldn't see it because you've got to stain it. Yeah. How do brain biopsies work? You know, probably a bit rough on people. I don't think I'd do a brain biopsy. Yeah. I think if you came to that stage, you know, you had goner with rabies, because the thing about rabies is, what's the good thing about rabies? It's very slow, and so that you can actually be vaccinated after you get it. So what they do is they not only vaccinate you, but they also give you antibodies as well. Okay? So you can actually develop immunity before you come down with the disease. Yeah.
But if you come down with the disease,
It's
they
too
can't
late.
do anything, right?
I think they've put people like in a coma. I think that's helped. I think I had it written down. I mean, it took me a while to go through all my notes, but I had actually, there is some treatment you can do now. I don't know how effective it is. It's a lot better.
I saw this really old black and white video.
Somebody
Dying from rabies.
Terrible. Rabies, isn't that the one where you get hydrophobia? Yeah, because you get spasms in your throat, and so you get a spastic.
So like if you see water, that's
Yeah.
in your lap or something?
No, it will give them a spasm, so they can't bear to see water. It will give them an incredibly painful spasm in their throat. So, so that's why it's called hydrophobia. That's what it used to be called. Okay, what's the diagnostic sign of measles? Yeah. Well, you get spots with German measles too. Yes, yeah. She's getting it. What are they called? You get those red spots with white in the middle in your mouth and the buccal membrane. Koplik spots. They are diagnostic. If you have a patient come in and they've got Koplik spots in their mouth, measles. Don't even have to test. Is it a K here? I can't remember if it's a C or a K. It's a K at the end?
Okay,
Oh.
And it's red and pus-filled?
It's red with white in the middle. I don't know if it's pus, but, you know, they're very characteristic. Okay. We went over the vaccines. We've done Haemophilus influenzae. If a disease is constantly present, what's that called? If it's constantly present in one country, at a steady level, yes, endemic. Constantly present. If you've got a sudden rise in one country, epidemic. Yeah. if you've got a sudden rise in more than one country. Pandemic. Remember the graph on the animation? If you have occasional cases at irregular intervals. No, occasional cases at irregular intervals. Sporadic. Yeah. To positively identify a particular disease, you have to show the presence of the causative organism. You know, that's Koch's postulates, right? Remember Koch's postulates, there's 4 parts, and that's how you prove that a specific organism causes a specific disease. So you can't say the patient has the disease unless you identify the causative agent. When bacteriophage incorporates into the host DNA, what's it called when it becomes part of the host cell's DNA? No, you're thinking animal viruses. It's called a prophage. And when it's in an animal, when it becomes part of the an animal cell's DNA, it's called a provirus. So remember, for bacteria and provirus for animal cells. So HIV always becomes a provirus, right? Because
for what?
bacterial viruses. When it becomes part of the host cell's DNA. So by definition, if it becomes a provirus, then it's latent. If it becomes a prophage, then the cell is lysogenized. Prophage, lysogeny, provirus, latency. Everybody get that?
What was the prophage?
Prophage, lysogeny, that's in bacteria for bacterial viruses. Provirus, latency for animal viruses and animal cells, including us. I'm saying we're animals in this case. A lot of us are animals. Okay, malaria. We already talked about malaria. What's the organism that causes malaria?
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes carry it. What's the parasite called?
I don't know.
Plasmodium falciparum. What's that? Yeah, but they're all Plasmodium species. And it infects the Anopheles mosquito, and in humans it infects red blood cells, right? And the fevers occur at regular times when the merozoites break out of the red blood cells, right?
It only happens at night, right?
Because the nasty Plasmodium knows when to come out. The difficulty to... I've already done that. Okay, getting through it really fast. What are the signs and symptoms of Trichomonas infection? Trichomonas is a protozoa, right? It's a single-celled...
Is that African sleeping sickness?
No, Trichomonas vaginalis is the one that you get that's... actually, a lot of people actually have that normally growing in them, but it's a sexually transmitted disease. Little bit, but you get... That's the one where you get the stinky green watery discharge. It's the one that looks like a single cell with a nucleus in it and 5 flagella out of it.
Do we need to know that?
Well, you need to know, it's the only one. Remember, for parasites, they have the cyst stage and the trophozoite stage. It doesn't have a cyst stage. Okay? Trophozoite is the feeding stage. So the cyst is like a spore. That's what you catch. That's the infective stage, but it turns into a trophozoite when it's eating. Okay? I used to see Trichomonas all the time when I was doing urine cultures. When I was testing urine, so much fun. That was my first job in the lab. We would do 100 in the morning and 100 in the afternoon. So much fun. Okay, we've done that. Okay. 3 types of worms. What's the name for worms? Helminths. Yep. And 3 types, right? Cestodes, trematodes, and nematodes. Okay? The cestode is tapeworm, right? What do tapeworms eat? Intestinal contents, right? The trematodes are the flukes.
Female on the inside of the male.
You always remember the gross stuff, don't you? Yeah. And it's the one, what's the life cycle, part of the life cycle? It has to go through
Yeah, no, where's it the snail one?
snail.
Snails. Yeah.
Right. It's the snail one, and it causes schistosomiasis, so you get rid of the snails to get rid of it, right? It's the one that's endemic in Egypt.
What was the word name for that?
It's a trematode. Okay? And then I did 2 nematodes, right? I did Onchocerca, which causes Onchocerca. No, but that's a nematode. Onchocerca causes river blindness. Remember I had the gross pictures of the eyes and the black fly? River blindness, yeah. Do I have to write down Onchocerca?
You have it on that sheet.
Good. Yeah. And the other nematode is filariasis. What's the common name for lymphatic filariasis? Elephantiasis.
Ew.
That's the one where you get huge.
That's caused by nematodes?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Lymphatic filariasis is it's a nematode. Okay. What type of cells does HIV infect?
T helper.
Which have what protein?
Yeah.
Did everybody get that?
What was the second part?
CD4. CD4 T helper cells. HIV infects CD4 helper T cells. What are the problems with making a vaccine against HIV?
It replicates quickly.
It mutates.
Yeah.
Mutates, has a high rate of mutation. It becomes a provirus, so remember, yep, it's hard to see. Done that one. What organism is the most common cause of the common cold? Too many commons in there. Yes, rhinovirus, which is a bacornavirus like polio and hepatitis A. Okay, trypanosomes. What do they look like? We all did this in the bloodborne pathogens. No, that's Giardias, the old men. They look like this in between red blood cells, right?
And they're purple, right?
I didn't hear you. Yes, purple.
Is that African?
Yes, yes. In Africa, it causes African sleeping sickness.
Flies, right?
Yeah, it's passed by the tsetse fly in Africa. And in America, it causes Chagas disease. Yeah, and what's the vector?
Oh, the biting thing.
The love.
Yeah, kissing bug.
And what was it again? The name of the virus?
It's a parasite.
It's a parasite.
I'm having a trypanosomes. Yeah, remember we looked at them in the... so sleeping sickness you get, it's due to, it affects your biological clock. You get dizziness, lethargy, swollen lymph nodes. Okay, done that one, all of those. We've done trichophytins, right? I talked about those at the beginning. Trichophytins cause cutaneous mycosa. You know, those are the fungus. Ringworm, athlete's foot. Yeah, right, we did all that. Is diaper rash? What's diaper rash caused by? We just learnt that. It's not caused by trichophytins. It's caused by Candida albicans.
Hey,
Yeast.
Can you possibly spell both of those, the trichophytins and the other one?
I don't think these are... I think there might be an I there.
No.
And, am I right? Albican.
You're close, you're just missing one H up top. It was TRYCH.
Oh. That was close.
Yeah, you were. You're good.
Candida albicans is yeast infections, right? And that's the most common cause of diaper rash. It's opportunistic. We've already done diphtheria, and the characteristic sign of diphtheria is a pseudomembrane. Done plague, tetanus toxin. Okay, prions.
Scary one. Scary one.
Yeah, that's the scary one. It's just caused by a protein, and once you get it, you're done for. That's in sheep. It causes scrapie. In cows, it's bovine spongiform encephalopathy, which is the scientific name for mad cow disease. People, Kuru, or Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Do I have to write all those down?
No.
Okay. What's that?
We here to know all of them?
Yes.
What was the first one that we said?
Scrapie.
Cranky?
Yeah, that's in sheep. Oh, Staph aureus.
Okay,
Staph aureus causes scalded skin syndrome. Remember in the little babies with the skin peeling off? Yeah. If it produces the erythrogenic toxin, causes that. Can also cause pneumonia. It's not written down there. Chlamydia. Okay, chlamydia, like Neisseria gonorrhea. Chlamydia is a obligate intracellular parasite. In other words, it has to live inside cells. But both of those organisms, Neisseria gonorrhea and Chlamydia trachomatis, both of them are sexually transmitted diseases and they cause eye infections, right? Neisseria gonorrhea causes, it's a gram-negative cocci, which causes gonorrhea, right? And it's the reason that all babies have antibiotics put in their eyes. Now, do they test mothers before they put antibiotics in the baby's eye? No. They put antibiotics in all babies' eyes as a routine precaution.
Against chlamydia? Or
Gonorrhea.
Yeah.
Okay, gonorrhea.
Yeah. But it's, yeah. But they do it as a routine precaution regardless. Okay? Chlamydia is a sexually transmitted disease, and it causes trachoma, which is one of the leading causes of blindness in the world, right? And that's where you get the turned-in eyelid. And you remember the picture of the flies?
Yeah.
And the name for the sexually transmitted disease with chlamydia is non-gonococcal urethritis. So, you know, you have gonorrhea caused by Neisseria gonorrhea or gonococcus, and then you have non-gonococcal urethritis caused by chlamydia. Okay. You've done walking pneumonia. Okay, I haven't got anything more. Well, that's it. If you want to ask me anything else, there's probably other things.
You didn't say it was all the notes, right? Like everything total is
All the PowerPoints can be in the exam. So know the PowerPoints. Okay, I've got to go and take the plates out.
Well, there's nothing specific in the form of it being on.
No, I won't do that to you. If I